What is the best exercise for women? This is a question or comment I hear a lot as a women fitness specialist. I get asked this and even told the answer through various forms for women in different stages, whether it's pregnancy or postpartum or adolescence or menopause. Is there a best way to exercise for women in these different stages? Now, I want to answer this question because this is a hot topic, but I want to answer it with a warning. I think as the public and even as other fitness experts, we need to be very careful of extremes. The fitness industry and the nutrition industry too loves to go to one extreme or the other, and this is usually backed by a marketing ploy. So, is there a best exercise for women? Now, that really depends on the individual, first of all. So if I have a client who came to me and said, I found out that when I quit doing this and I started doing this, whether it's Pilates or yoga or barre or something else, my body changed completely. My hormones felt good. I felt really good. My energy level was good. I'd say, amazing, wonderful. I'm so happy for you. The problem I have is when those people then start to tell others, this is the best exercise for everyone. That's when you need to be a little suspicious. There is science that shows how different exercise affects women in different stages with hormones, but we have to remember the fitness industry centered around women has not been around for a long time. The fitness industry started centered around men, nutrition as well, and men's bodies. We had literally no data on women's bodies, especially hormones, how they reacted to exercise and how they reacted to nutrition. All that research and evidence has just come in the last decade or two. So this is all relatively very new information, and we don't have a ton of science-backed data here. So even if you're listening to an expert in this field, you need to be careful and weigh what they're saying with what else you're reading out there. It's very easy for us to grab onto one idea and say, this is the best or this is the worst, but are we looking at all the evidence and are we looking at who their subjects are when they're studying? So that all aside, let's go back to that question. As a trainer who's worked with women for over 10 years, with most of my education and experience on understanding women and hormones and chronic illnesses and anything related to the body and exercise, this is what I've come to see. Every body needs a variety of exercises. You know why? Your body needs strength. Your body needs stability. Your body needs mobility. Your body needs flexibility. And your body needs cardio training. Your body needs all of these things. Every person's body needs all of these things. There are different kinds of workouts that do include all of these kind of exercises, and that's really great. But in reality, if you're not getting all of those pieces of the puzzle, you probably are missing part of your exercise routine. An example of this is I had a client who a couple of years ago thought she was going through perimenopause. And we talked that for a little while. She was misdiagnosed. It ended up being a chronic disease, an autoimmune disease that she had. And once she got the proper diagnosis, she saw all this information out there. And she told me, I keep reading and keep seeing people comment that I shouldn't be running. Now, this client of mine was a big runner and she loved running, and she recently fell in love with running after the pandemic, and it was adding a lot of health and vitality to her life at the time. So she's worried she has to give up running because it overstresses her body for this autoimmune disorder. Now, I've actually trained many women with autoimmune disorders and with chronic diseases. I myself have an autoimmune disorder. And what I had to tell her was, no, that's not true. Everyone with this autoimmune disorder should not give up running. And at that point in our training, since I'd worked with her over a year, I knew giving up this thing that she loved, this thing that kept her healthy and helped her make healthy choices in her life, would just be detrimental. And I told her, running is the one thing that seems to really help you reduce stress in your life. First of all, it's a great therapeutic exercise. Also, the endorphins are amazing. We can't argue with that. They really help with depression and stress. And so, no, I don't think giving up running would be helpful for you at this point. Now, her autoimmune disorder was very real. And what we had to do is I had to educate myself on that autoimmune disorder, and we had to carefully approach it. And what we did is we figured out where her threshold is, which this is really common when I'm training my clients with chronic diseases. We found the threshold of her body, where if we pushed past that, she was more prone to flare-ups. She wasn't getting enough rest. She wasn't recovering. And she was more prone to her triggers that would cause flare-ups in her autoimmune disorder. So we found that threshold and we worked up to it. And then we were careful not to cross it. We were also careful to look at her life. What were the other stresses in her life? A lot of times work and her relationships were stresses. So if her body was already stressed in other parts of her life, we knew she was much more vulnerable to those flare-ups. And so then we were more careful with her training program. But I'm happy to say a year after that, she's still running. She's got this autoimmune disorder managed very, very well. She's worked on her nutrition to help her with it. She hasn't had to take any outside medication to manage it yet, even though she's open to that. And she's even training for races. So I'm so proud of her for not giving that up and not giving in to those voices of people who are saying that, but it's not backed by science.